It's time for Tiger Talk, presented by Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room. Old Chicago, amazing craft beers and food, north of I-70 in Hayes. Old Chicago, share, reconnect, celebrate. Tiger Talk is also brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, providing the best in-home loans to the Tiger community since 1920. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, part of the University of Kansas Health System, and the official physicians for Fort Hays State University Athletics. The certified public accountants of Adams, Brown, Barron, and Ball. Your trusted advisors, providing you with commitment, experience, and integrity. BTI, your John Deere dealer, with locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, Valley Hope of Norton. Get help and find hope. The Taco Shop. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. You've never had it so good. Horizon Appliance and Mattress. TVs, appliances, Traeger grills, and Tempur-Pedic bedding. Open 7 days a week at 1501 East 27th in Hayes. And Eagle Communications. Internet, TV, phone. Eagle Communications. Our community connected.
And a good Monday, and welcome into Tiger Talk. Gerard Wellbrock with you as we talk Fort Hays State basketball. Glad to be back after about a 3-week break because of Christmas and some Monday basketball, but we're certainly glad to have you back here at Old Chicago, where we're recorded on Mondays over the noon hour, so make your plans to join us next week here for lunch. Of course, you can hear the playback on Monday evenings on Tiger Radio Mix 103. Old Chicago, great pizzas with dough made fresh daily. It's at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room there north of the interstate in Hayes. Tigers getting back after it. Actually had a game, I guess, New Year's Eve to wrap up non-conference play, and then the Tigers had their first conference road trip of the season, went to Warrensburg, take on Central Missouri, and then on to Bolivar for the final time probably to take on Southwest Baptist. And we bring in now the winningest coach in Fort Hays State women's basketball history, Tony Hobson. His team getting a couple of victories this weekend to start the new year. And congratulations. Obviously, a lot went into that Central Missouri game, and we kind of talked before. I'm sure your team, since they started practicing in October, that's been circled and one they've wanted back after the loss in the NCAA tournament, and it finally arrived, and thought they handled the moment well. Sometimes you see teams get overhyped and maybe too into a game and don't play well. Your team didn't do that. They played a very solid game and a great way to start the new year.
Well, I think it went about as well as it could have the whole weekend, and I really like the fact that we played Central Missouri first because we had a little more time to prepare for them than you do if they're the second game. Plus, sometimes that second game, it's just a difficult one to play because you've been on the road then your fourth day and you're just worn out. So I thought that our kids approached it real well. I mean, they were preparing with some intensity, and you could just tell they were a little more focused than normal for 18 and 19-year-old kids. And I thought they weren't nervous. They weren't afraid of anything. They just, they weren't overconfident. They just knew that if we played our game, we had a chance to win. And that's what I told them. If we play well and they play well, it's going to be a close game. So let's just concentrate on us and playing as well as we can and see what happens. So I thought when it came down to the critical time, we just back and forth the whole game. But then when it came down to winning time, I thought we had everybody in place.
They hit a couple of threes to start, and you should go flash back to last year's game when they hit like 2 or 3 in a row, and all of a sudden a tight game became a not tight game. And they hit their first 2, but the kids didn't hit the panic button and battled back, and you get close to the under 5 break, and all of a sudden you look up and you're right there in that game, and then play with the lead a good chunk of the contest.
Yeah, well, you have to understand that a team like that is going to make baskets. They're going to score on you, and you can't just get totally deflated every time a 3 goes in against a team like that, because they're going to make some, even guarded ones sometimes. So I thought we did a good job of just not getting impatient and not thinking we had to come down and shoot a three necessarily. I think they started off with 2 threes and we started off with 3 layups, you know, because they were really overplaying our perimeter game for whatever reason, and we executed well, and Belle shook loose, and we made good passes to her, and she finished well. So I just thought that we handled that little, you know, that mini burst at the beginning of the game and just settled in and played. And like you said, we did play with the lead most of the game, even though it was a small lead. Mm-hmm. But again, it's a lot easier to play in that situation when you get down 8 or 10 and you feel like you're just always running uphill. You know, you don't want to run a race and never get a run downhill at all. So I thought we handled it well, and really it was a great defensive effort. We had some offensive lulls there in the second quarter where we were having a hard time scoring, but our defense kept us in it. And in a game like that, you're going to have times like that just because the defense is at a high level. You're being guarded by good athletes, and they're into it also. It's not like they didn't play okay and want to win. So points are hard to come by, and nobody was going to the line, either team. Yeah. So that's why it's low scoring. I mean, if both teams shoot another 10 or 12 free throws, you score another 8 or 10 points, but the game wouldn't have had any flow to it. Yeah. You know, this game had a lot of flow. They let you. It wasn't. I mean, there could have been some more fouls called, but not that many. Yeah, I didn't see any. You know, there weren't any like blatant where people were getting knocked down. I mean, it was a good physical game. They let you make plays on defense, which I like. Mm-hmm. I hate it when every time the offensive kid falls down that they call a foul automatically, because in women's basketball, people fall down a lot.
Yeah.
So I just liked the way it was officiated. Thought we had a solid veteran crew, and there was 15 total free throws shot by both teams. Yeah. And it wasn't one-sided one way or the other. I thought they just kind of let both teams kind of play.
You mentioned getting the ball inside. I think the first quarter you had 9 field goals, and they were all layups. You didn't hit a perimeter shot, but you were able to get it inside. Bell scored, and eventually you're able to hit some from the outside. But you took what they were giving you and hitting those shots, and it was like a layup line in that first quarter.
Well, I think we're starting to realize after the first 2 or 3 threes are off the mark, you know, that we've got other ways to score. Carly got to the basket a couple times, Belle several times, and you know, that's just you have to be able to have more than one way to score the basketball, or you're going to have some real lengthy droughts. So, like I said, a little patience sometimes goes a long ways, and some execution, and we'd seen a couple things we thought would work as far as getting the ball inside, and they definitely did.
We're in Old Chicago, north of the interstate in Hayes. Make your plans to join us for lunch next week as we record Tiger Talk. Of course, you can stop by anytime at Old Chicago, your craft beer authority. In fact, burgers, sandwiches, salads, distinctive taproom fare, great pizza here from Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room. Serious craft brews, seriously good food. We're going to take our first break. We'll talk more about a successful weekend for Fort Hays State women's basketball as they move to 13-0, and we'll do that when we return here on Tiger Talk along the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction.
I'm Patty Stoll, broker-owner of Coldwell Banker Executive Realty. We want your dreams to become a reality. Coldwell Banker Executive Realty prides itself in putting you first.
Central to man-to-man. Now Paige has it. Eyes a three. Fires it up and knocked it in. Her first basket of the game. A right wing three right in front of the bench. 44-37. Tigers up by 7 once again on the Page's first basket of the game. That's a big play on Thursday night at the Multi in Warrensburg as Fort Hays State goes on to beat Central Missouri 56-45. To 46, welcome back to Tiger Talk. We're at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, recorded over the noon hours on Monday. Of course, you can always order online at Old Chicago. It's at oldchicago.com. They make your to-go orders a breeze. Old Chicago, they're your craft beer authority north of the interstate in Hayes. That was a big basket. Laney hadn't done a whole lot, but kind of pushed it from 4 to 7, and you gradually got that up to double figures. And that was kind of the turning point, it felt, in that fourth quarter to get you over the hump.
Well, it was because we kind of had a little lead, and then they'd cut into it. And I think that was only the third shot that Laney had taken during the game. They were really concentrating on trying to take her out of it offensively, and she doesn't really force shots that much, so she was just kind of in the flow. She'd made 2 or 3 of those nice passes to Bell for layups, but she is pretty cagey when it comes to recognizing mismatches. Yeah. You saw it. The most obvious time was when we were playing KU, and she got switched off. The 6'5" girl was guarding her 2 or 3 times, and she hit 2 or 3 threes in a row where she has that little move where she takes you and then backs up. I knew she was going to shoot it. I just didn't know when. I knew she was going to try to set her up and shoot it, and it was a good time for it. We were happy to see that one go in.
Well, got the Tigers up by 7. They go on eventually and win the ball game over the Jennies by 10. And then what I thought was impressive was 2 nights later, you're on the road in Bolivar, Southwest Baptist, a good team. I mean, there have been some tight battles with these guys, mainly because, I mean, they can make it a crazy game up and down, score a lot of points. In fact, second behind you in scoring. But I thought your team, other than that lapse in the first quarter when you went from up 10 to tied, was about the only time, came focused. And that's a big – how's a team going to react to a huge game that you've been putting a lot of energy and focus on all year long? The next game out in Aroma can be a tough environment. Your team, I thought, handled it for the most part very, very well.
Well, I think that was probably the best back-to-back road games that we've ever played since I've been here. I mean, Southwest isn't as strong a team as Central, but they're not bad. Their record is not indicative of how good they are because they were missing their 2 best players for their first 5 or 6 games, and they're just now getting back to where they're effective again. So it's a tough place to play. You're on the road for 4 days. You've just had a big emotional win that you had been looking forward to, and it worked out for you. So it's very easy to live in the past and think about that Thursday game or be worried about next weekend and what we're doing at home and all that. It's very easy to just fall asleep and not play well. And I was, part of that little run we gave up in the first quarter was, they hit a kind of a 3 at the buzzer for 3 of those points. Right. But still, we kind of maybe took our foot off the gas a little bit. So it's tied after 1. I think the first 3 or 4 minutes of the second quarter, they hung in there, and then from then on we just blasted them. We haven't executed offensively any better than that for the whole year. And you have to consider that Bell's on the bench a good portion of the first half with 3 fouls, and when you can bring Randall in or you move Casey over to the 4, we just didn't really miss a beat. We were getting the 3 ball and we hit some. We were getting it to the basket. We slipped a couple screens for layups. Everything was kind of working. Got to the free throw line several times. We missed 4 free throws that first quarter, and then we didn't miss one the rest of the game. So I thought offensively, just with all the factors that came into play that day, I thought we were about as good as we could have been, and got contributions from a lot of different people.
Yeah, you finished the first half on a 14-3 run. It ended up being a 29-5 run to build a 26-point lead. You led by 33. I mean, it wasn't a close game, 92-67, and that wasn't really indicative of the type of game. It was a much bigger margin. And another key stat, and you've done it so many times this year, but you scored 38 points off of turnovers and 20 second chance points. And that's kind of, the points off turnovers have been a thing for a while, but this group has rebounded very well, especially in the offensive end. I don't know how many times you miss a 3 and there's Bell or somebody running out with it, and it leads to a score later on in that possession.
Yeah, we got a lot of different kids really go to the glass, and especially Bell is just real quick. She's just quicker than most of the people trying to block her off, and they're the hard kind to block off because a moving target is really hard to hit. And T is obviously very active, and then we usually, Clampett got an offensive rebound. Maddie's really goes to the boards hard. Casey gets a lot of offensive boards. Taylor Ross is, it's just, it's the difference is when you have big kids at the guards. I mean, it's changed it's kind of evolved. We were little and really quick, and you kind of, you get the best players you can get, and then you kind of have to adjust. So we're really not, we're not full court pressing very much, but we're defensively we're as good as we ever have been. So you just have to figure out different ways to do it. But when your guards are big and strong kids, and understand how important it is to get to the boards, it makes a difference. I think that's one of the keys right there.
Bell had a great weekend. She tied her career high in Central Missouri with 14. I think she had 12 of those in the first half. And you mentioned the foul trouble, and she was on the bench a lot on Saturday. And you look up 13 points. And probably the big key, she hit her free throws. Was she 5 of 6 from the line, missed only one shot? I think she had stretched 12 consecutive made field goals until she missed that little 15-footer late in the game. But really good weekend for her. And she's had some good ones this year, but that was one of her best.
Well, she only played 16 minutes on Saturday because, you set her out the first half with 3 fouls, and in the second half the game gets out of control.
Yeah.
And it's getting a little chippy there. It's been chippy with them the last few games where some strange things have happened. So I wasn't going to have anybody in there at the end of the game not that I want my other kids to get wiped out and hurt, but, usually when you have fresh kids in there, just let them go. And but so 16 minutes and you get 13 points, and she had, good from the line, and so she did. She's just turning into a real consistent player for us. And, T, if you would have told me that T was going to have 13 points in the 2 games combined and only take about 10 or 11 shots, I would have said we're going to be in trouble. But T doesn't probably shoot enough and is probably looking to pass it a lot more. And she is a good playmaker. She's a great playmaker. And we've just got other weapons. And one person that kind of gets lost in the shuffle once in a while is Casey.
Yeah.
And Casey, on Thursday was guarding Fleming most of the time. Yeah. And Fleming's one of the better players in our league, and she had 5 points. And she just takes a lot of pride in shutting somebody down. And she does all those little things. She'll get you her 8 to 12 points and 5 or 6 boards, but she really defends. She takes the ball inbounds for us, which is really an important position. So I don't want to ever not let her know that we didn't appreciate her, because you talk about the boards and you talk about the scoring and the big shots and stuff, but she also had a couple big buckets there in the Central game down the stretch. But really, I thought we really paid attention on Saturday, and it wasn't lost on us that we'd beat them by 1 there last year, and we beat them in overtime at home. Our kids have good memories. So I think we were more ready to play this year than we were last year when we went in there.
Yep, got the victory. A nice one on Saturday, 92-67 to move to 13-0. Now the Tigers back at home as another tough weekend. Northeastern States, Central Oklahoma all come to the Coliseum. We'll talk about that when we return. Tiger Talk recorded here at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room over the noon hour on Mondays. Be sure to check out their late night specials starting at only $3 at Old Chicago, your pizza and craft beer authority. Back with more Tiger Talk here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here.
It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM. Do you believe in love? Glory days. Well,
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
Walker brings it across, plays it to Casey Kennedy, who's back in there. Casey between the two circles with a right-handed dribble. Bounces it to Walker, right wing, back to Kennedy, now left side to Ross. Skips it back to Walker, wide open for a three-pointer. Yes! Knocked it in from the right wing. She'd been struggling, 8 for 33 in just one of her last 10, but Walker buries her first three today, and the lead grows to 8.
Yeah, that was a key bucket in that little 12-0 stretch right before the end of the first half, and good to see Haley. We know she's a good shooter, and you kind of touched on it after the game. I mean, she's struggling to get consistent minutes. She got more, but she hit that one right in stride and was kind of a catalyst of that run to get you a nice cushion before halftime on Saturday.
Well, she just needs opportunity, and I have to be careful about, when she's in there and what the situation is and things right now, because she's not playing with as much confidence as she was earlier, and it'll come back. A lot of freshmen, they go through, a little dark spot once in a while, and they just have to keep their head down. They'll come out the other side, and it'll be bright and shiny again. And she hit another tough three.
Yeah.
And, it was a guarded one in the second half, and I thought she played a nice, solid game, and that was a good situation to let her go in there and just play some extended minutes and get in the flow. And once she gets in the flow, she's going to be a good player.
Well, nice win for Fort Hays State, and it's nice to have games like that. You can get some of those players who don't play maybe as much extended minutes. I mean, they work hard every day at practice and have a key role on this team, even though it may not be on game day and in minutes play, but they help get everybody ready to play. And it's nice when they can be rewarded with some quality minutes on the floor as well. And, hey, you never know. You get a game, you get fouled. You might need one of them down the stretch. You never know.
Oh, for sure. And we're going to need them sometime in the future. If it's not this year, it'll be next year, and every minute can be valuable for them. So, every player on our team, 1 through 14, is important to us. And the fans see 9 or 10 of them. They don't really see what the other 3 or 4 do all the time, as far as just playing their role and accepting their role and still being a good teammate and being mature about it. It isn't like when they were in junior high ball or even high school where, okay, it's your turn to play, you 5 go in, and it's just not like that. I mean, it's a whole different level of basketball, and we call it, hey, it's big girl basketball now, guys, and we're going to do what we have to do to win. If that means you're on the floor, you're on the floor. If it's not, then do everything you possibly can to win the game in another way for us. And luckily we have such high-character kids that they accept that and do a really good job of it.
Well, Tigers got the 2 wins, and you became the all-time winningest coach, and congratulations on that. There's been a lot of good ones at Fort Hays State, and obviously and goes back to the players, and they got to win the games, but it is still a neat accomplishment and fun. It's fun to do it on the road. So, I mean, it's great to do those things at home, but to go on the road, especially Central Missouri, that won the tie and Baptist to move you to 13-0. Sometimes it's kind of even more satisfying when you can do something like that away from home.
Well, it is, because road wins they're hard to come by. You really have to earn them, and I just want everybody to know that there's so many. There's a lot of other factors that go into play in winning basketball games other than what I do, and the people I'm surrounded with really have such an important role. I've had my assistant coach now is a great one, probably best one I've ever had. I've had lots of good people around me, good administration that wants to win, and they help you win. It goes right down to the fans and to having you at every game, calling them. People really follow that. I have people all over the country that listen to your broadcasts or watch us online. I've got relatives in Buffalo, New York that call me after the game and says, hey, you looked a little tired on the sideline today. And I says, well, that's because I was a little tired on the sideline. So just all those things go into making a program, and I just like being able to just try to maintain it, because it's hard to do. It's hard to get to a point. It's harder to stay there, and it's just kind of a challenge. So it's very satisfying, but there's a lot of things that go into that.
Well, back at home this weekend, Northeastern State on Thursday, Central Missouri on Saturday, and as we find in the MIAA, I mean, you can't look past anybody. Northeastern's kind of struggled this year, but still got to go out there and play the game right, and then it's one of those games kind of scary because you've got a really good UCO team coming on their heels on Saturday. This team, I think they've proven they're mature enough to do that, but you got to stay locked in and focused at the task at hand, and that's the Riverhawks on Thursday. Well,
I always just tell them we've got 28 regular games, scheduled games. Hopefully we play more than that, but just not to ever take one for granted. You know, maybe this game on Thursday will be, say I'm talking to Taylor Ross. He says, maybe this will be the game that you don't miss and you have 12 threes. I said, who knows? You don't know when that opportunity will come, and so don't ever pass that up. Always be ready to play. And I think these kids will be ready. It is easy to overlook somebody that you're supposed to beat when you have a tough one after them. But we have our ways of trying to keep their eye on the ball. And right now the most important game of the year is this one Thursday, and then when we're done with that, the most important one will be Saturday. So Northeastern is always kind of a weird team to play. They run a lot of different stuff. They do have a couple really good athletes on their team. So we'll have to be prepared and we'll have to play. We can't just show up. So it's a big weekend for us just because we always enjoy playing at home, and you don't want to pass these babies up. You want to play well. You want to, first of all, it's it's another league game, and that game's just as important to win as any of them. It's another win in another notch in the win column, and you need them all. So you just have to really focus on what you're doing.
Sounds good. Tony, we appreciate it. We will see you on Thursday night. Should be a fun weekend of Tiger basketball. It'll be nice to be back at Gross Coliseum on Thursday.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, George.
There you go. That's head coach Tony Hobson of the Fort Hays State Tigers. Again, Thursday night, 5:30 against Northeastern State. Then Saturday afternoon, a 2 o'clock tip with Central Oklahoma. Tiger Talk recorded at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room over the noon hour on Mondays. It's Old Chicago, your craft beer authority. Over 40 rotating draft beers, so stop on by today. They're north of the interstate. Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll chat some men's basketball with Mark Johnson. He'll join us next right here on Tiger Talk, along the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wertenberger Construction. Hi, everyone. This is Gerard Welbrock inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk. We record it over the noon hours Mondays at Old Chicago, north of the interstate in Hays, and play back at 6 o'clock Monday nights on Tiger Radio Mix 103. You can also catch it on Eagle TV's Channel 14 and 614, Tuesday and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., and always on HaysPost.com. So join us for Tiger Talk over the noon hour Mondays at Old Chicago.
Fromat cut off, can't shoot it, and he threw it away. Picked off by Cooper. Marcus to the other end for the two-handed jam. So the Tigers get a steal and a stuff on the other end by Marcus Cooper. His first field goal. It's 26-24 Tigers.
Now some of the action from Saturday. The Tiger men get a split in their road trip into Missouri, their first conference road swing of the year, beating the Bearcats of Southwest Baptist 73-58, losing to Central Missouri on Thursday night 63-54. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. We're at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, home of the World Beer Tour. 110 beers from around the world. Ask for details the next time you're here at Old Chicago and begin your World Beer Tour. Old Chicago, your pizza and craft beer authority. Joined by men's head coach Mark Johnson. Tigers, as we said, get a split, and I guess you look back, anytime you go on the road and your first conference road swing, gain a split, it's a good thing. But, boy, the way you played Saturday, if you could have just put a little bit of that together on Thursday, you may be looking at a 4-0 conference start. But I guess this is the next best alternative, sitting at 3-1.
Yeah, you're never satisfied. I mean, we definitely have a 7-point lead with 10 minutes to play, and, just felt like we just didn't make enough shots on Thursday. The game is just like you look at the difference in the game. I think overall we probably played better against Baptist defensively, everything considered execution-wise. But at the end of the day, we made 11 threes on Saturday. We only made 7 on Thursday. If we make 11 threes on Thursday, we probably beat Central Missouri. I mean, it really comes down to those 4 possessions. Instead of going 7 for 26 from 3, we go 11 of 26. We probably swept the road trip. So, I mean, like I told our guys, you have to play defense to give yourself a chance to win. If you don't play defense, you have no chance. But then by playing defense, it gives you a chance, and then some guys got to step up and make shots, and then that's how you win games. And we just were not able to do that on Thursday. Our defense was probably good enough, probably wasn't good enough down the stretch of the game, but if we had made some shots in the first 30 minutes, it wouldn't have come down to the last 10 minutes. So, really happy the way our guys responded on Saturday. Would have liked to have won them both, obviously, but like you said, anytime you go on the road and you get a win, you really haven't lost a whole lot of ground. Even if you split, you still kept yourself in the running.
Defensively, I mean, it seems like it's getting better. Obviously, it was a good effort on Saturday, and for 30-some minutes, it was pretty good against Central Missouri. You feeling better about the defensive for these guys?
I think we're getting better. I think one of the things is we've changed the way we're guarding ball screens a little bit, not trying to put Brady in such a difficult matchup and having to cover too much ground and hedge on guys. So I think we've done that. We've slowly but surely gotten better at that. I think our guys are figuring out how to be in help position but still get to the shooter. I felt like what happened to us early to start the season, we just played a couple teams that were lights out shooting the ball and then just started creeping our guys' heads, so they just started getting so far out on their man, and we just really didn't have very good help defense. So I think our guys are getting back into help position but understanding when to fake and get out to their shooter and try to take away shots. So I do think we've gotten better at that. And we need to keep getting better and better because we're going to be playing, better conference teams as we move forward here.
You mentioned switching up with Brady. He played 33 and 36 minutes, and we go back. He's been getting into the 30-minute range a lot more. He's, because of that, been able to stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah, really, you look at the first half against Central Missouri, he got 2 fouls, and we had to sit him out. Otherwise, I think we were ready to kind of take off. We got it up to 6. He felt like kind of getting comfortable in that surroundings, and then he had to go sit out instead of, maybe taking that 6-point lead to 10 or 12. You're down 2 at half. So, I think a couple things. One, maybe the way we're guarding the ball screens is protecting a little bit. 2, I think both games he got to play against traditional centers. Jacob Lawrence, even though he can shoot a 3, and a guy from Baptist will shoot a 3, they don't really drive it. I mean, they're just straight back to the basket post players. I think where Brady gets in foul trouble, he have to get stuck on these mismatches, kind of 6'4", 6'5", athletic guys who drive the ball at him. That seems to give him a little bit more problems playing against those guys, staying out of foul trouble. I think this weekend he kind of got to match up with other big guys like himself.
And he had a huge game Saturday. I mean, maybe his best game as a Tiger. In fact, he had 13 rebounds, and going up against Promet, who's a good player, did a good job of limiting it a lot of times to one possession because he was so strong on the glass.
Yeah, we played those guys twice last year, and I thought their big boy was, maybe as good as anybody in the league as a post defender, and Brady had a hard time. You see how much better Brady's gotten. Brady was wearing him out, didn't have any problems. No question, what we'd like to see Brady do better at times is rebound. Obviously, 13 rebounds. It's really hard to do any better than that, and he had 2 blocks. I still think he can be a better shot blocker than he is. He's so long, and he has really good timing. He just at times is not active enough off his – you don't really get block shots on the guy you're guarding. Most of your really good shot block, you get it coming off your man and coming over on another guy's. He's going up to shoot. And I think he can even be more – I think he's leading the league right now in conference games in block shots per game, and I think he could even be better at that because he just, like I said, he's so long and he has good timing at it.
Well, I had a good game on Saturday as the Tigers get the split with a convincing win over Southwest Baptist. Now 9-4 on the year and off to a 3-1 conference start. Tigers will be back at home this weekend, Thursday and Saturday, with Northeastern State and then Central Oklahoma. And we'll, of course, certainly talk about that here in just a little bit. Tiger Talk recorded Mondays over the noon hour at Old Chicago. It's the place to watch your favorite football games. The College Football Championship tonight, maybe the playoffs this weekend. Old Chicago, the place to be. And, of course, while you're in, you can join their OC Rewards program. It's free, and new members receive a free appetizer for up to $10 after your first transaction. It's at Old Chicago, your pizza and craft beer authority. We'll take a break. More with the coach when we return on Tiger Talk here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberger Construction.
As you plan for your business in 2018, advertising should be an important part of your growth strategy. Digital marketing puts your business in front of the right customers online. Advertising with the Hays Post ensures your message will be viewed 1.5 million times a month, including 375,000 unique views a week. Are you ready to grow your business? Advertise with us today. It's affordable and it works. Call us today at 785-628-0467. Eagle Communications, our community connected.
Shot clock down to 8. Mulliam, a forced jumper. It's an air ball. Promet saves it into Kinnaman. Great half-court team by the Tigers. Kyler wants to run. Over to O'Neal. Trey back to Kinnaman. Open right corner 3. Bingo! He nailed it. Kinnaman's first basket of the game. And the Tigers lead by 22 once again.
Yeah, that was a big basket as the Tigers kind of put that one away midway through the second half Saturday in Bolivar. 73-58 the final. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. You had to like that because you closed the first half strong, a 12-3 run to get the lead up to 9. And you always know you're on the road, are going to get a push, but you came out and you were the aggressor, and you quickly got that up near 20 early on and kind of took the hope of them getting a win away.
Yeah, two things in that. Like we said at halftime, it takes – you can't just break it. You just got to keep effort, and then all of a sudden you break away, and that's what we were able to do. It was a 2-point game or tie game with 5 minutes to go into half, and then we were just able to consistently give our effort, make a few shots. We're up 9. And probably – one of the biggest plays of the game, people just, there's 3 or 4 possessions changed the whole game. Mm-hmm. And, they came out, immediately scored to cut it to 7. We come down and miss. But Jared Vidstam made a great extra effort, got us an offensive rebound, kick out. We end up making a 3. So now we're up 10. You don't get that basket. You don't get that rebound. You miss. They come down, hit a 2, hit a 3, or whatever it is, and cut it to 4 or 5 in those first. Well, momentum has completely changed, and who knows what happens. But just that extra effort he gave on our first offensive possession where we were able to get a second chance shot and made a 3, up 10, and just kind of we just relaxed us, I think, a little bit, and maybe their hopes were a little bit dashed right away. I think those are little things that maybe people don't realize that can really affect a game. Something that happens with 19 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the game can change what happens at the end of the game.
Nope, and you went down to get a stop, and then Jared comes back and hits a 3. Yeah. Now it's 13, and it's a whole different game.
There's no question. And like I said, if he doesn't get that rebound on our first possession and get us that second shot, who knows what happens.
Well, you're back at home now this weekend, and Thursday night, Northeastern State, and then Saturday, Central Oklahoma. The Riverhawks, even though their record may not show it, they're still looking for their first win. They're 6-7, and seem like a much improved, much more athletic, and a better basketball team. And hasn't correlated to conference wins yet. But as we talk about the bottom end of the MIAA, everybody's better, and they qualify.
Everybody's better. And I will say this. I mean, just what I have seen briefly on film, I think we're playing 2 teams this week that are 0-4 in the MIAA, and I think they're the 2 best MIAA teams we'll have played so far. They're not. I'm not saying but of all, I think they're better than Emporia, they're better than Kearney, they're better than Central Missouri, they're better than Southwest Baptist. So that's what our league can do to you. You look at their schedule; they go on the road, they play at Pitt State, at Missouri Southern. Well, those are 2 of the top 4 teams in our league. I mean, and Central Oklahoma gets beat on a half-court buzzer beater. And then next week they got to play Northwest Missouri. Well, you know what? A lot of people are going to lose those 3 games on the road at those places. And Northwest Missouri, again, has separated themselves as of now, this year. So, we're all going to hit that stretch. They have their difficult schedule right in front of them. So this is really one of the biggest weeks of the season for us, if not the biggest, because we need to give ourselves separation from these 2, because these 2 are going to make up ground when the schedule comes their way, and we have to go back to their place. But like I said, we cannot look at their schedule. I think they're the 2 best MIAA teams to date that we have played, and I know their record's 0-4, but that's that's just the MIAA. You have a bad week or 2, and you're looking in trouble. I go back. I was looking the other day or yesterday actually at conference standings, and I think Colorado Mines and Colorado Springs are nice teams and everything, but I look at in conference, they're combined 11-1. This is the MIAA. That doesn't, no. And they're fighting to make the conference tournament. Instead, they're 11-1. So you have to come ready to play, and you have to play well. I don't care who you will not win if you don't play well that night.
And we've talked about it, and you've talked about it. I know the team knows about it. This was the stretch last year where it kind of got away, and then it was just a grind to get into the conference tournament and do anything. And I think they responded, and as we talked after the game on Saturday, how they put so much into that because they knew that was the situation.
Yeah. This week, too. We got it. Like I said, you sit there and you can't do it. You got to take them game by game. And you can do this in the MIAA, all of us can. I mean, it's not just Fort Hays, every team on the route. You sit there and start looking at your schedule, like, oh my gosh, we got this game, and we have that. I mean, after this week, you're at Emporia, you're at Washburn, who's really playing well. You have Northwest Missouri, a much improved Missouri Western, then you got 3 straight on the road. And, and you still haven't touched Missouri Southern and Pitt. We got them twice. So I think on talent, just lining up man for man, those two are arguably the 2 best or top 3 teams in the league. So this is a big week for us, and our guys need to be really locked in and understand how difficult it is to win MIAA games.
We'll certainly see on Thursday night when Riverhawks come to town to take on the Tigers. Coach, as always, we appreciate it. Have a great week of practice. We'll see you Thursday at the Coliseum.
Thanks, Gerard.
All right, that's head coach Mark Johnson of the Fort Hays State Tigers. Hey, get a reminder that you can always catch the video replay of Tiger Talk. It's Tuesday and Wednesdays, 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Eagle Cable Channel 14 and 614, and you can always catch it online as well at HaysPost.com. Just hover over that Eagle TV icon, then left-click on Tiger Talk and catch the program anytime you would like. Tiger Talk presented once again by the great folks here at Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, also brought to you in part by the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, part of the University of Kansas Health System. Also by the Taco Shop, Adams Brown, Barron and Ball, Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, BTI, Horizon Appliance and Mattress, Valley Hope of Norton, and Eagle Communications, and, of course, Old Chicago Pizza and Tap Room, your craft beer authority. Old Chicago, north of the interstate in Hayes, serious craft brews, seriously good food. Tigers and Riverhawks, Thursday night, men's and women's doubleheader, 5:30 and 7:30 on the air at 5:05 with the Auto World pregame. Then Saturday afternoon, the Broncos from Central Oklahoma, 2 and 4 o'clock will be on the air at 1:35. Hope you can join us. If not, catch us right here along the Tiger Sports Network, built by Paul Wurtenberg Construction. We'll see you again next Monday right here on Tiger Talk.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayspost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, real country. 99 KZ Country.